Hi.
Hi,
Oh,
Carolina.
yes, working. Okay. How are you guys? How's
Oh,
everything
great.
going?
All
Thank
great,
you.
all great. You?
Good, 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 good. Now much better.
Okay. It's a pleasure to meet you in person
It's a
finally.
pleasure.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for counting on me. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
it's a pleasure. So, I wish to know a little bit more about you
Okay.
and why did you started with all the sharing. I saw that you are also helping the RNE.
The radio. I have a little section on it. Yeah, it sounds weird in English because I never heard those letters in English
Ah,
before.
okay, sorry.
Yeah, so I thought it was something in English. Yeah, but yes, it's is Spanish national radio. Yeah.
Okay. So,
So what can I guys tell you?
I mean, whatever
What
you
should I?
want, actually, about you. Like, who-
What
uh,
do you guys?
yeah, we would like to know like more about you, how you got where you are now, and a little bit of your story.
Okay, are you recording this? Are we set?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Everything good? Okay, okay. Well, I'm Carolina Jiménez. I'm from Spain, from Madrid, and I'm a VFX artist. I'm specialized in layout. Layout is the department that I work on. I work in movies mostly, even though we're working on a lot of TV shows as well now, thanks to the pandemic.
Yeah.
Not thanks. We're not gonna thank the pandemic for anything, but due to the pandemic, the industry has been shaped in different ways, and now all the digital platforms are producing more TV shows than before. So there's a lot of work on in that area now, and well, I live in Vancouver now after living in many different countries. I've been chasing work around the world for quite few years, and I love my job. I love movies. I love what I do. I love having a job, a profession that combines creative and technological aspects, because both things are really
Yeah.
important to me.
Mhm.
I like being in contact with technology, and I love being creative. So this is one of the we're lucky that we have this kind of job that combines the two things. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was younger. I wanted these two things combined in my profession somehow. So I started studying architecture, because architecture also combines the two
Yeah.
things. But I chose architecture by default, not from love. So it didn't really work for me. But thanks to I went to college to study architecture for a few years, and even though it was not exactly what I wanted to do, I discovered the 3D environment software thanks to architecture, because we started to not only draw and do all the blueprints and do models of the things that we did for class. We started to do also 3D models on a computer graphic
Yeah.
software. So that was the first time that I touched a software like that, and I fell in love with it. I thought it was super cool, but I still didn't know it could be my profession until I saw, because I've been a movie lover all my life since I was a very little kid, and I loved. I'm a fan of. I'm a nerd. Okay, so I
Yeah.
love
Okay.
I
Yeah.
love Marvel.
We got
I
what we
love
needed.
Star Wars. I love
We can close
I
this.
love Star Trek. I love superheroes, and I love science, and I love Tolkien. I've been a fan of the world created by Tolkien all my life. So when I first saw the first movie from the Lord of the Rings, I watched that movie a million times in the theater. And when the DVDs with the extended edition came out, I obviously saved all my money to get it. And when I watched the documentaries, the very extensive documentaries that come with those DVDs, that's when I understood that you could do movies using a computer and using the same kind of software that I recently had discovered thanks to architecture. So that's when I had the idea.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
I finally connected the dots, and I said, okay, so I love this piece of software, and apparently you can make movies with it. So that's what I wanted to do.
Perfect.
So I dropped architecture. I quit. I didn't finish it. And I looked for a school in Madrid. And it was like, there was like 1 or 2 schools back then, because now it's easier to study this, but back then it was not that easy. And I enrolled in one of those schools, animation schools. So I did my master's degrees in animation and computer graphics. And my dream was to make movies using a computer. So that was my goal, and I worked hard for it. And it was not easy to get there. I worked on my first movie in Spain 3 years after finishing school. It was an animation movie, a Spanish animation movie in Madrid. Thanks to that experience, 3 years later, my second movie came 3 years later as well. So it's not easy. Getting out there is not easy. Getting to the movies is not just like that. It takes time and hard work, but I could do it. And my second movie was in Australia. I moved to Australia to work on Happy Feet 2.
Okay.
And after that, it was a bit easier. Once you get some experience, it's a bit easier to move forward. And after that, I moved to London, and I worked on Prometheus and on World War Z. And every time I had something new on my resume and on my portfolio, my demo reel, I sent it to everyone literally in the world. Everyone, including Weta. Weta is the studio in New Zealand that inspired me in the first place. And they never responded to me, obviously, because I was nobody. I didn't have enough experience. But this time they responded, finally, after sending them a million emails throughout the years. And they offered me a position to go to New Zealand and join them in making The Hobbit, no less. It was by coincidence they were working in The Hobbit, and they needed more people to finish The Hobbit. Yeah, it was all a coincidence, because it could be because they work in many movies, but the moment when I finally had the enough experience to join them, they were working in the Hobbit trilogy. So I moved to New Zealand, and I lived there for 3 years working in the Hobbit trilogy, and that was a dream come true, obviously, for me.
Can imagine.
I'm curious about, like, when you received the email telling you, all right,
I cried and cried and cried. Yeah. I couldn't sleep that night. I couldn't believe it. I called everyone, and then I cried. And
it's like a dream, getting, like, you dreamed it all the life, going back from Lord of the Rings, and now having
every time I send them an email, I would dream, oh, maybe they're gonna respond this time. Oh, maybe they're gonna respond this time, and they never would. It have been like that for years. And one day they responded. I'm like, oh, is this happening? Is this happening? Oh my god! What do I do now?
But they told you in the email that they were working on The Hobbit, or you just discovered it later?
Well, I knew because it was, everybody knew, because everybody knew that The Hobbit was being made, and they were in pre-production, and I remember Peter Jackson was already sharing some videos of the pre-production of the making of the Middle Earth again, and so we all knew it was
okay.
It was something that we knew. So I was like, can you imagine? This would be a great time for them to respond. And they responded. And they said they wanted to obviously interview me. The interview was on the phone. I've never been more nervous in my life.
But can imagine that.
Yeah.
But it didn't go bad, because they made me an offer, and I moved to New Zealand, and yeah. That's fantastic. And it was really hard work. It was really hard work, because it was a lot of work. Long movies, all made by one studio, because usually movies are made by more than one studio. It's very rare that just one studio makes an entire movie. That only happens on ILM with all Star Wars stuff, and on Weta with all the Middle Earth stuff. So it was a lot of work, a lot of long hours, a lot of overtime, but it was also a great experience. I learned a lot. I fell in love with New Zealand. New Zealand is an amazing place.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, tourist question, like, how is New Zealand? Because I've always dreamed of going there.
It's an amazing place, amazing people. Nature is incredible there. Because there are places in the South Island, especially because it's 2 islands. It's the North Island and the South Island. And there are places in the South Island where humans have never put foot in there. so it's
Okay.
not explored, and there are more sheep than people
Okay.
Okay.
uh,
All right. Okay.
in the
I was not
country.
expecting that.
Yeah, not at all.
And Kiwis are people there. They call themselves Kiwis. They're very special people. They warm-hearted, and they trustworthy, and there's no crime there. There's no I don't know. It's a very special place, and
Yeah.
I fell in love with it, and I had a great time. I worked a lot, very hard, and we finished those 3 movies, and the team grew a lot, so they could make those 3 movies. When the movies were done, they didn't have enough work for that many people, so
Okay.
they had to let go a lot of people they hired
Yeah.
only for the movie. So about 1/3 of the team had to be let go,
Wow.
and that
That's a lot.
included me. So there was not enough work, and it's not like in Europe or in London or even here, obviously, that you can find another job in another studio. In New Zealand, there's one studio.
Yeah.
If that
And that's
studio
it.
doesn't have work for you, that's it. And if you
Oh
don't
God.
have a job, you don't have a visa, a working visa. And without a working
Oh.
visa, you cannot stay in the country. So once your contract is done, you have
You have to go.
about a month to either find
Just a month.
another job,
1 month.
either find
Yeah,
another
1 month.
job to find another job to get you another working visa, which doesn't come with every job. It needs to be a very specific job, or you need to leave the country. And that happened to most of us, because
Yeah.
we were from
Yeah.
all over the world. So the next natural move was moving here, Vancouver. There's a lot of work here, in Canada in general. There's a lot of shootings in the movie industry. That is a big thing. The movie industry here is a big thing, and all the visual effects studios and animation studios and stuff have either moved here or opened an office here and a studio here. So here's the opposite. All the studios are here, so it's
Yeah. To
Yeah.
change or
easier
switch.
to find a job. And
Yes.
if you finish one project in one studio, it's not difficult to find another studio that has another project that is coming up, starting. So most of my coworkers from my first movie in Spain, from Planet 51, which was my first movie, they're around here now. We see
Oh,
each other in the streets,
Okay. So you moved all
yeah.
together, like.
yeah. So almost everyone is here. So now, and with the pandemic, it's a bit different, but the downtown in Vancouver is really small, and we walk to work because all the studios are in downtown. So if you leave downtown, you can bike to work or walk to work, and we see each other, hey, in the street. You see familiar faces, and you end up
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, I know that guy. I've worked with that guy, but I don't really remember where, but I know I've worked with them.
It's
Because a lot of
I
familiar
I can
faces.
imagine like seeing people in Vancouver and oh well oh yeah, I remember you from New
Yeah.
Zealand, like the other way around of the world. Or maybe it was London, I don't remember. But
That
yeah, it was not here probably.
literally like that. It's exactly like that. Many times, and it's a small industry, so we end up, especially in your department. So you end up knowing the faces, knowing the
Yeah.
names, and we cross from each other. And since I've lived here in Vancouver, I work in 2 studios. I came to work in DNEG, and then I moved to Skyline, and I've been working in Skyline for a few years now, and I'm really happy in Skyline. So I'm not planning to move in anywhere.
Okay.
And yeah, I've been living here for 6 years now.
Cool.
And I work in a lot of movies in those 2 studios, especially in Skyline. And yeah, we've worked in Ant-Man and the Wasp, or Justice League, or Aquaman,
Yeah,
or the
the
last
superhero
Terminator
title.
movie, or Game of Thrones, because now we're working in TV shows as well. And when the pandemic hit, we didn't know what was going to happen. There were a couple
Yeah.
months where a lot of projects were put on hold or got canceled. So we didn't know if we were going to have work or what was going to happen. But slowly things started to come up again, and now we have a lot of work. There's a lot of work now, especially because due to the pandemic, there are a lot of things that would have been shot in real life that due to the pandemic and all the safety measures on the shootings, now many of those things are done digitally. So ironically, we have more work now because things need to be digital now, because we need to use less actors, and because of the pandemic, they need less people in the shootings and stuff. So, and since the theaters are either closed or not a lot of people are going to the theater, so a lot of movies are now being released on digital platforms, and they're producing a lot of TV shows, and people are consuming fiction from home. So there's a demand, a very strong demand,
content.
also due to the pandemic. So ironically, the pandemic ended up giving us more work, and we're all now working from home. I've been working from home for over a year now, since March last year. And it's going to be like that for a few more months, we anticipate, until everyone is vaccinated. And all the studios, I know, they all did a great job providing everyone with the necessary equipment to work from home from almost from the beginning. In the matter of 1 or 2 weeks, they got all the equipment we needed, and they provided, we're more than 400 people only in Scanline, and they provided everyone with all the equipment that we needed to work from home. So that was a great effort that they made to keep us safe. So we're very grateful for that. And we've all learned how to be productive while working from home. I miss the team a lot, but I don't hate working from home. And I heard that not everyone hates it. So we think that when the pandemic starts to go away and things starts to go back to normal, to a new normal, we probably won't go back to the studio full time. There's a lot of people that want to stay home at least part time, and I'm one of them. So I want to go back to the studio from time to time to see the people, to go to meetings and stuff like that. But if they decide that we go to the studio 1 or 2 days a week, and the rest of the time we work from home, I'm fine with that.
Do that, don't worry. No problem.
Or even go to the studio in the mornings, and then come have lunch at home, and then work in the afternoon from home, stuff like that. I'm all for that too. And I know most people like to go back only part-time, so we'll see how things evolve. But from now and until everyone is vaccinated and is safe to go back, we're going to stay working from home. Okay. And that's a lot of me talking.
Yeah, but I'm curious about one thing. I'm curious about one more thing, because these kind of thing that, before you were working always in the working place with all your colleagues, and when you were like more of a junior, that is something that helps you really a lot to grow, because you can ask to a senior or the lead right next to you, so it's much easier to grow. What do you think, how do you think it is impacting new juniors right now, this thing?
It's exactly like that. So you grow a lot when you get the chance to ask. And not only if you're a junior, because we're constantly growing. So the tools that we're using are constantly being developed, and you always have questions, and someone around you has a question that you know the answer to. So not only juniors, but for everybody, that's a bit challenging. So that's one of the reasons why I think having contact with your colleagues again, even if it's part-time at the studio, it would be a good thing. And obviously now we all have to make an extra effort, because all the meetings are on the phone, and we all have webcams and stuff like that. But it's easier to forget that you're working with people when you're alone at home constantly. So you have to make an extra effort to ask the juniors how they're doing, to encourage them to ask questions, because most of the times when they ask a question, either on the chat, we have a chat, or on the phone, they apologize. I'm sorry to bother you, but I have this question. It's like, no, don't apologize. Ask all the questions, because they feel bad because they feel they're bothering you. No. Your job is to ask questions. My job is to answer questions. And I would love to, if we were in the studio, I would be going to your desk every hour, every couple hours, to see how you're doing, to make sure that you're fine, to ask you have questions. I cannot do that, so don't apologize. So please
Just ask
bother
questions.
me. That's your job. So we all have to make an extra effort, and things are different, but hopefully we will have time, face-to-face time, even if it's part-time, in the future soon. So yeah.
I have a question for you. You're a new junior, no connection, not so many skill, and 1 month to find a job.
What would you do?
How? What would you do?
That's
1
hard
month?
one.
Why only 1 month?
Because we like time constraints to be, short.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. If obviously there are things you can do to try get yourself a job, but if you tell me that you need your first job in a month, that may happen or may not happen. I work in many things from since I finished school, my animation school, till I worked on my first movie. It was 3 years. 3 years that I worked on many things. I tried it to be all the things related to 3D, into animation, to audiovisual world, but sometimes it was just doing houses, or designing logos, or working for banks, or designing a yogurt TV commercial, or I model a lot of cell phones, because I worked for a company that sold cell phones online, and they needed a 3D cell phone, and I worked for free a lot because I wanted the experience, but a lot of times they either did it, or they didn't have the money, or they didn't want to pay me, because there's a lot of people trying to get advantage of juniors as well. So during those 3 years, I worked my ass off trying to get enough experience to work in the movie industry, and not always got paid, and it didn't always went fine. It was tough. It was tough. There was a lot of ups and downs, and I made a lot of mistakes and learned a lot of lessons, but it's tough. So if you only have a month, obviously you need to work your ass off, but nothing is going to guarantee that you're going to have a job in 1 month.
Yeah,
you can find a job. You're not going to find your dream job in a month.
Yeah.
So you can find things to do, and things to learn, and people to help, and things to projects you can do. When I didn't have a job or work or of any kind, I would just do my own thing and model stuff and animate stuff. I keep working on my own projects just so I could grow my portfolio, so I could get another job or another opportunity for another job. But it took me 3 years to work in the movies, in the movie industry, and not always got paid. It's tough times. Being a junior is tough, but it's also fun. Lots of fun, because you're building yourself, and you're working for a dream, and that's tough. But there's no other way. There's no shortcut. You need to work your ass off. Make sure that you have fun with the process. Don't ups and downs, but make sure that you don't suffer too much. Make sure that you have people around you that are in the same situation as you, so you can share experiences. Ask questions, because I found a lot of people that had a lot more experience than me, and I had a lot of questions, and not everyone has the time or is willing to answer your questions, but a lot of people will answer your questions. There's a lot of good people out there.
Absolutely.
So ask the questions. Go look for those people who know more than you, and ask all the questions you can. Some will answer, some will not. And also remember to answer the questions from everyone that comes behind you, because it doesn't matter how little your experience is, there will always be someone with less experience than you. So if you're willing to ask questions, you need to be willing to answer questions as well. Don't forget to look back. Don't only look front. So that's one of the reasons why I feel I'm in debt. So there were people that would answer my questions and help me a lot when I was starting. So now I feel I need to do the same with whoever comes behind me, because I'm in debt with the universe. So I need to give back to the industry, doing for others the same that others did for me. when I was starting. So, and that goes for everyone, even if you're a junior, help whoever is around you, and remember that you have the answer to someone's question. So make sure that you're contributing, because this is a family. So this is not a competition. This is a family. So yeah, ask a lot of questions, work your ass off. Your first job is gonna suck. Your second job is gonna suck.
But the third
Your
job.
10th job is gonna suck a little less.
It's longer.
Okay.
So every job is gonna suck a little less, and one day you'll be ready to have a job, and you're gonna say, yes, this is the right way. I'm in the right way. This is the right path. Let's keep going in this direction. And you will make mistakes, and you will have to step back and try again, and that's fine. That's all right. I've done it a million times, and there will be times when you want to give up because everything sucks and you don't have the energy to keep trying. You can take a breathe. Next day, keep trying. Keep trying, because working hard pays off. It's mathematically impossible that if you put hard work, you won't get results. If you put hard work long enough, you will get results.
Persist.
Exactly.
Persist until one day you do it. But you
exactly.
Do it.
It's slowly, it's gradually, it's painful sometimes. It's a lot of fun most times. Just if you believe in it and if this is what you want it, do it. Keep doing it, and you'll get there. You don't know exactly where, you don't know when, you don't know how, but keep trying and you'll get somewhere. You keep moving and you'll get somewhere. And it's not easy. It's scary. It's scary. I remember my first movie was sort of easy because it was in my hometown. It was in Madrid, and it was what I wanted to do. And I learned a lot. And I was a junior, so everyone was expecting me to keep learning. But my second movie was in Australia. I had to move I had to quit a job. I had a permanent contract in Madrid, 2 blocks from my apartment, with good pay, and I quit to go to Australia with a 3-month contract to work on a movie on my second movie 3 years after my first movie, with just a suitcase in another language, another country, another software, because I was used to work on 3D Studio and Maya, and the software that I was going to use in Happy Feet 2 was Houdini. I had never opened Houdini in my life before. So when I landed in Australia, jet lagged, my English was not very good. It was the first time that I moved outside Spain. My English now, it's obviously way better.
Yeah.
But back then, and the Australian accent. So I was jet lagged. I couldn't understand anybody speaking. I didn't know the language. I didn't know the software. I didn't know where I was. I was by myself on the other side of the world from home after quitting a job that everyone would have told me not to quit, because it was but it was not what I wanted to do. I was working for a pharmaceutical school, doing 3D stuff for the online educational system. I didn't want to work in a pharmaceutical school in Madrid. I want to work in the movies. So after sending millions of resumes, I couldn't say no. How could I say no after trying for so long? When they said, "Hey, do you want to come to Australia and work in dancing penguins?" I had to say yes. I had to say yes. So I left everything behind, and I was scared. I've never been so scared in my life. But the day after I landed there, I wanted to go back. I was so terrified. I was like, what am I doing here? And they're going to fire me. I don't know what I need to do. I don't understand when they explain things. I don't know the software. I'm so jet lagged that I was falling asleep while they were explaining me things, because you're so jet lagged on the first couple of weeks. My brain was not braining. So I thought to myself, they're gonna fire me. They're gonna fire me. I'm not good enough. I don't know what I'm doing. This is not for me. But I found people that understood. I found people that saw something in me that could work for the team. I stayed through all the fear. It's super scary, but if it's comfortable, it's not worth it. You need to step out of your comfort zone.
The second time we heard something like this. The first one was from someone from ILM, and he told us, if you aren't scared enough, it's not worth. If you aren't Yeah, it was. If you're not scared enough, it's not worth. It was like,
If it's easy, you're
yeah,
not growing. That's it. If
Must be
it's
hard.
easy, you're not growing. It needs to challenge you. If it doesn't challenge you, it's not changing you. And that's the same for everything in life. Because now I'm also into fitness and into exercise. It's the same thing. If the exercise you're making is not challenging you, then your body is not changing. Your body's not learning. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. If it's not challenging you, if it's not scary, if it's not hard, then you're not learning and you're not growing. So embrace it. It's gonna suck sometimes. It's gonna be scary, and you're gonna want to quit. But embrace it and keep trying and keep asking the questions. And as long as you're enjoying the ride, obviously, when you don't enjoy it anymore, when it's not worth it anymore for you, then it's okay to quit. I also want to say that it's perfectly fine to quit and find something else that makes you happy. The follow your dream, whatever it takes, and it doesn't matter. No, wait. If it's what you want to do and you're enjoying it and it's worth it, and it's worth it for you, keep trying. Whenever it stops being worth for you and you're not enjoying it, it's okay to quit. It's perfectly okay to quit this dream and find another dream and find another way to be happy in a different way. It's totally fine. But as long as you want it and as long as you're enjoying it, keep trying, because it's the only way.
I want to know from you if there is just one thing except from pushing, because we know it's hard, it's tough, you have to push it, but there is something more that juniors need to keep in mind to achieve their dream, to keep pushing. There is, like, what made you keep pushing?
Well, I really think it's we're lucky that if you can have as your profession something that you love, then you're lucky. I love technology and I love movies. That's why my content in social media, in my YouTube videos, and in my Twitter threads and all that is not just about visual effects. It's about movies, because everything that movies give us is very dear for me. So everything that involves movie making and why movies make us feel and think, and the way they do, for me is really it's my thing. It's my passion. It's one of my passions. Science and movies are my two passions. So being able to work in the movie industry using technology, which is also part of science, for me, I feel like I'm super lucky. So every time I try to think of something else I would like to do, I didn't really think, I couldn't find anything else. So that's what would push me, because if I spend my free time also analyzing movies and speaking about movies and creating content and speaking about science as well, but whatever you like in doing on your free time is your passion. So if you can make that into your profession, that's a great deal.
Yeah.
So I couldn't find motivation for anything else. So it was so much fun. Every time I learned something new was so much fun. Every time I understood movies better, and every time I saw documentaries on behind the scenes on how movies were done, or every time someone answered my question, I had 10 more, and I wanted more and I wanted more. So that motivation comes from within you. So make your passion your profession. That's my main motivation.
I have one question.
Okay.
Like, let's make like a mental trip now, and we go back in time, like when you were at the beginning of all of this. Okay, when you go back in time, and
Okay.
I want to ask you: is there one thing that you would change or tell to your younger self, like, Carolina, please don't do this, or just fuck, do it, or whatever it is?
There's one thing, and I think I told you already, because we live in the society we live now, in this the speech that we receive from social media and from movies and from songs and from other people, that motivational speakers that tell you to follow your dreams no matter what. If you believe in yourself, you'll make it possible, and all that. It's very positive in the outside, but it has a little negative in the inside, and no one talks about that. So when I finally made my dream come true, when I worked so hard to make my dream come true, that when I finally got there, when I made my dream come true, I found that I had nothing else to work for. So for some time, when you take a dream and make it into a reality, you break the dream. You break it. There's no more dream. So when you get to the peak of the mountain, the only way you can go is down. There's nowhere else to go up, and no one prepares you for that. We're the education system and the times we live now tells you to push and to believe in yourself and to keep trying no matter what and to never surrender, which is to a certain extent very positive, but no one prepares you to the moment of, and okay, you did it, now what? So for me, that was a big slap in the face from life, because I was not prepared for that. What was my dream? It was incredibly cool for a very short moment. So it's a finish line. You cross the finish line in a second.
Absolutely.
What's after? No one prepares you for what's after the finish line. And it's important to also teach that happiness cannot come just from the finish line. Happiness needs to come from the whole trip. The whole trip needs to be something that needs to be worth it. Not just, don't focus on the finish line. Focus on having fun on all over the that's why I always say don't get obsessed with making a dream come true. Try to enjoy the process, the entire process. And if the dream doesn't come true, it's fine. There are a million other dreams. You can drop this one, find a different one, and find a different motivation for it. Change is, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to fail. It's okay to give up on one dream and have another 3 or 4, because it was hard for me. For a few months, I was lost. My dream became my everyday job. And dreams are not meant to be everyday jobs with their ups and downs. Dreams are perfect in our minds, but everyday life is not perfect. So my dream job had different things, good things and bad things, and it became my everyday. Your mind, my mind was trying to combine those two things. They were crashing. So for a few months, I had tough time trying to, because I had so much energy. I had put so much energy into getting there that I didn't know what to do without all that energy. I didn't have anything where to put my energy to. So I need to reinvent myself and understand what happened. Took me months, and rethink my life and reshape my life in a way that would give me new motivation, new understanding of what all this fighting for a dream means. So that's why I always try to say, sure, fight for your dream. It's great to believe in yourself and to push as hard as you want, but it's also okay to not get there. It's also okay to change your mind. It's okay to fail. It's okay to do something else. And don't get obsessed with the finish line, because happiness doesn't come from from crossing finishing lines. It comes from the little things that make every day worth it.
How did you go over this period? What did you find that you liked so hard, that you wanted so hard? If it was something new, or if it's a new way of living, what is it? A new mindset? Was it?
I discovered that it was not one thing. In the end, it's many things. In the end, because everything can fail you. If you only have one thing and that fails, you're done. But if you have many things that are worth working for, if one fails, you have many others. So I rediscover the value of slow growing on your profession, of enjoying friends, enjoying family, and reading, writing, teaching. That's when I started to do my videos. That's when I started to connect with other people, with people that had questions that I could answer. So I found a lot of relief in connecting with other people, in keep growing professionally, because there was still a lot of work to do to keep growing my profession, and it took time, took time to let my brain digest what happened and slowly go back to finding motivation in smaller things and creative projects, and writing articles and making videos and doing Twitter stuff, and exercise and painting and music and friends. And there are many things, and I learned that the hard way, but I learned it. It's the many things, the many little things that make every day worth it. Not just the one big thing. It's the many little things. And one can be your job and can still be your passion, but make sure that you have many other things that keep you happy, alive, and distracted and creative, not just the one thing.
Okay, that's the thing that also my psychologist told me. But that was
and I went to therapy. And I went to therapy. Going to therapy is okay.
Yeah.
Asking for help is okay. So it's perfectly fine to, if you find yourself in a crossroad and you don't know how to get out of there, ask for help. Yep. Professionals are there to help you. They help me a lot, so it's totally fine.
Can I ask you a question about
Sure.
Your latest path? Okay. You went by being an artist working for those movies, and now influencing a lot of people with all your content. What brought you, what pushed you to create all this content, to share all these things that help motivate people and help people, live their life better?
Because it's fun. When you're in love, you want to tell the world. When you're in love, you only want to speak about the person you love. When you love what you do, there's no way someone can stop you. Can So if there's someone out there that wants to hear what I have to say, it's hard. It's not tough to talk about it, or to make content about it, or to share things. The hard stuff is not to do it. Because when you're in love with something, you want to talk about it. But that's a line from one of my favorite scientists as well, Carl Sagan. Used to say, when you're in love, you want to tell the world. If you're in love with science, you won't find a scientist that doesn't love to speak about science. So every time you ask a scientist a question, it will be, oh, yes, let me answer that. Yes. Let me explain it to you. They want to, when they see there's someone interested in listening to what they know and what they want to share, they will be so thrilled. Usually scientists are scientists because they love science. So when you ask a question, even if it's the simplest question, you'll get the best reaction of, yes, let me explain this to you. This is the same way. When you love movies, you love talking about movies. And if there's someone out there that wants to listen to what I have to say,
will come.
Sure. It's hard to make me stop. So it's not tough to do it. The tough thing would be to not do it, because I love what I do.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
You're doing a great job for the industry, so keep doing it. Keep doing it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao.